So this morning we're in the quad, here for the Curious St Andrews project. You might have seen some already other videos about the traditions of St Andrews or about working in life in the quad. Today we'll be talking about the chapel behind me and specifically the 6 set of bells that we have up there. We have 6 bells, 2 originals and 4 that were added in 2010 for the 550th anniversary to Salvator's chapel. So the first 2 bells we'll talk about this morning are Katharine and Elizabeth, the oldest 2 bells in the set of 6. Katharine can actually be considered the original St Salvator's chapel bell and dates back to 1460, whereas Elizabeth used to hang in St Leonard's chapel and was cast in 1520. Elizabeth came over and joined Katharine in 1747 after the merging of the 2 colleges, the United College. Just what is a United College though?
Nowadays there are 2 statutory colleges, which are more or less formal entities. There's St Mary's on South Street, Faculty of Divinity. There is United College, which covers the faculties of arts, medicine and science. The first half of the 1700s, the university was a little worse for wear. Whilst there were still some scholars of eminence, the student population was somewhat waning. According to Ronald Cant, historian of St Andrews, some of the buildings in the quad were unaccountably out of repair, and hardly even able to keep the rain out. This led the university to consider combining its 3 colleges, St Mary's, St Salvator's and St Leonard's. The reasoning behind it was largely logistical and fiscal, resembling problems the university still face today. Bringing all the students and masters into one building would reduce maintenance costs, whilst the amalgamation of teaching posts would lead to more adequate wages for professors. Negotiations began in 1738, however St Mary's College swiftly pulled out, and after 9 years, in 1747, the Scottish Parliament approved the amalgamation. From the 24th of June 1747, colleges would be known as the United College of St Salvator's and St Leonard's. Following this unification, the grounds of St Leonard's were sold and Elizabeth was transferred to St Salvator's chapel.
You might have noticed I've been talking rather anthropomorphically about our 2 bells, Elizabeth and Katharine, which is how do they get their names? Katharine is named after the niece of Bishop James Kennedy, a bishop of the 1400s in St Andrews and the founder of St Salvator's College. In the late 1800s, Katharine became a bit of an icon, and every year in the Kate Kennedy procession, a student would dress up as a bell in a noisy masquerade. Sadly, Elizabeth's name has been lost to the sands of time.
The 2 of them have been recast many times over their history. Most recently in 1940, as a tribute to the members of the university who were serving in the Second World War. Elizabeth told throughout the war, counting the hours. Poignantly, however, Katharine was to remain silent throughout the war, willing to be wrong only once peace was achieved.
The other 4 bells were added to the chapel in 2010 to commemorate the 550th anniversary of St Salvator's chapel. 3 of them were reclaimed from other churches, that's George, Agnes and Margaret. 1 was cast especially for us, that's Annie. The next 2 bells we're talking about are Agnes and Margaret. The pair were cast over a century ago and originally hung in St George's Church North in Greenock on the west coast of Scotland. The game was in 2010, but who are they named for? Agnes is named after Agnes Blackadder, first woman graduate at St Andrews back in 1876. She was a trailblazer in her time, and she took subjects concurrently, essentially overcrediting so she could get ahead early on her studies and graduated early. She then went to the University of Glasgow, and then she became a doctor. She had a vibrant career and even saw patients into her 70s. And Margaret was named Queen Margaret of Scotland in the 11th century, a pious and charitable queen. But what relation does she have to St Andrews? Of course, back then there was no Forth Road Bridge across the Forth, so Queen Margaret, in her charity, set up a series of ferries to cross the Forth for free so that pilgrims could continue on the way to St Andrews. The next bell we're talking about is the biggest of our bell, George. He weighs a whopping 400 kilograms, that's the weight of a grand piano. Has a diameter of 35 inches or 90 centimetres. George was originally cast in 1939 and came from a church in the West Midlands. George is named after George Buchanan, a student and then principal of St Leonard's College in the 1500s. He was a man of many talents. He was an eminent scholar, political, and even wore the hat of royal teacher James VI of Scotland. The final bell we're talking about this morning is Annie, the youngest of our bells, which holds a special place as being the only modern bell to be specially cast for us in 2010. Annie is named after Annie Forbes, great-grandmother of principal donor Michael Buchanan.
Our chapel has a cohort of talented bell ringers
We ring the bells every Sunday, as well as on special occasions. Campanology, the art of bell ringing, dates back around a millennium and is very mathematical. Bell ringers ring sequences changes on the bells. A change refers to ringing all the bells once. For example, ringing the first bell followed by the second, the third, fourth, fifth, and sixth is a change. An accent refers to ringing all the possible permutations of the set of bells exactly once. For example, one permutation is the simple 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 permutation. But then there is also the 2, 1, 4, 3, 6, 5 permutation. For a set of 6 bells, there are 6 factorial. That's 1 times 2 times 3 times 4 times 5 times 6 permutations. That ring 720 in all. Ringing this will take about 25 minutes. 5,000 or more changes are needed to ring a full peal. So we'd have to ring that extent of 720 7 times to achieve this. This could take around 3 hours. That's all from me today. I hope you've learned something new about the St. Salvator Chapel Bell and you've enjoyed this. Please like and follow on all of our social media. Take care. Bye now.